Nikki, just say you were scared that Meghan was going to get Shani to fire you because, honey, what was this? Where was the backbone in this situation? I'm disappointed. Y'all, let's talk about Basketball Wives Orlando episode 9. What up, Question Crew? Welcome back. Welcome to everybody. If this is your first time here, if you're a regular, you know how we do here. So we are on episode 9 of Basketball Wives Orlando. Child, this season is slowly and surely coming to an end, and I could not be ready for it to go. Although I have really enjoyed the introduction of these new ladies. Y'all let me know how y'all feeling in the comments. Are y'all feeling them? Do we feel like they're ready for a season 2? I like what I see because, I don't really mess with the OGs. But anyway, fast forward to Neek and her mama, honey. Why Neek mama so damn pretty? She's definitely giving me Jacinda Knowles vibes up in here. And, just seemed like a very sweet, nice, cool mama. Neek and her mama are in her kitchen at the VH1 bungalows, honey. And they're talking about Neek's time here. And they're basically just talking about how Neek doesn't feel like she completely has friends here in Orlando. And she's telling her mom, like, the only person she kind of feels close to is Milan. But unfortunately, recently, she's kind of finding out that, through, I guess, like the argument that sort of Milan had with Meghan in front of everybody. Like, Milan tends to tell people's business. She's a little bit too talkative and she's not sure how she feels about Milan like that because she doesn't move that way. She's also feeling like Milan isn't always super reciprocal to her and is making her still feel very lonely. Her mom says she understands, how much Neek loves her friends and she's invested in her friends as well as her family. And she urges her to talk to Milan on the side, to not have a discussion in front of all the girls, but just to have a one-on-one to see where she's at. It's clear that Neek has talked to Milan, talked to her mother about Milan because her mom says that, is it possible that Milan, because of her upbringing, I guess, doesn't necessarily know how to be a friend completely. It took me a second to look a little deeper from what her mom was saying about Milan maybe being, we kind of know her origin story at this point because she's told it over the last couple of things. And she seems to be somebody who has like trust issues. And specifically once she like feels something is off or wrong, like she immediately resorts to like, going within herself. And I think that's what her mother was talking about. So I kind of agree with that. She then goes on to say like, hey, you have Dwayne here. Like, you can also lean in on him. And she says, yes, but because Dwayne is working and because of the recent loss of his brother, it's been really hard. I find myself being there more to comfort him than the other way around. And, I'm sort of here for him whenever he needs me, but it does make her feel a little bit lonely. Her mom gets a little emotional and Neek gets emotional because I'm like that too. My mama cry, I'm cry. But she basically says that, she wants Neek to be concerned with all of these people, certainly, and how they're showing up in their lives and how she's showing up for them. But she wants to make sure that Neek is showing up for herself first and foremost, honey. She's like, look, self-care is important. And I don't hear a lot of you in these conversations. I hear a lot of them and, how you can be there for them. So I thought this was a really cute talk. It was nice to see another part of Neek's family because we've only met her son. And I think we've seen Dwayne. But it was really cute to see her and her mama together. So this is a nice little Beyonce and Tina moment. I liked it. And just as much as I like this scene, I absolutely hated Nikki meeting with Meghan. This was such a corny moment to me. And it was such a moment that made me feel like this is a sadness about the desperation of trying to be on TV or stay famous, that you're like, ultimately bend to the situation, because if this wasn't the corniest scene. So Nikki and Meghan meet up because Nikki is frustrated at the fact that Meghan had this show where obviously Phor came. He's her ex. She didn't tell him that Phor was coming because she didn't want Nikki to mess it up or get emotional about it and then she not do it. But then they proceeded to talk about all of Phor's sexual, habits. And it was kind of embarrassing for Nikki. The other girls were embarrassed for her. It was uncomfortable, and more than anything, Meghan didn't tell her. So they meet up, and Meghan gives some BS reason as, I wasn't there to hurt you. I just wanted to have him on the show. And Nikki is like, girl, like this is, this was uncomfortable for me. I feel like you were kind of going off of what I told you, and then you basically invited him and Meghan gives this very dry, response of an apology. And here go Nikki. You could tell she immediately did not believe her, or you could tell her feelings because she wore shades. And I think she wore shades because she didn't want us to see a reaction with her eyes and her face. So when Meghan apologizes, you could tell Nikki really doesn't believe her apology. But desperation will make you stay in a situation. And so ultimately, she takes the fake as hell apology. And you can tell that she's really just scared for her job. Like maybe she feel like, if she don't agree with Meghan, she gonna call Shawnee and she not gonna be back next season. So she kind of says, well, I can understand. And girl, if you can understand, why you here in the first place? You should have just took that understanding with you and left the show last week and not even brought this back up again. And she goes, I think people think that you're messy, but I think that you're just direct. She's messy. And she even told you she was messy at the table. And then she told you she was messy last week. And it's crazy to me because sure enough, here come Meghan trying to find some way to say something else about somebody else in this moment when, girl, you were just a mess by saying that she heard Ashley was talking mess. We all saw that scene last week. Ashley was actually saying what a lot of people were feeling at the table. Like, this is messy. Why was she bringing him here? Like, it was messy as hell. And it was all the things that Nikki should have said and was feeling and did not because she's scared of Meghan, or rather scared for her spot with Meghan. So this was just a very corny moment. It felt inauthentic, and it felt like, Nikki, all the little rah-rah you did when you was on Black Ink, girl, where was that when you needed it? Now, y'all know I'm all here for a human moment, honey, but honestly, Morgan's storyline is super draining. And I respect that she's a human being and she's going through things. And I like to see the diversity in the cast and the women when they're going through stuff, and not just see only moments when they're arguing with each other or just like celebratory high-end moments. But honestly, this storyline is so draining because Morgan has continued like the bitter train for so many episodes and infighting with the girls, when really, honestly, a lot of this, both for her and Danielle, has been about their exes and taking out the energy that they can't take out on their ex with these women. So Morgan's little sister Lisa is in town. And although she's her little sister, she says that Lisa sort of acts like the big sister. Morgan's super happy to see her. I completely understand when my sister comes to visit me or I go visit her. Like, I'm always excited to see my sister. And, of course, Morgan is down in the dumps because she had to move again. And she's moving because her ex is trying to, I think his name is Eric, is trying to serve her with child support subpoena papers to come to court to basically, I guess, lower his child support or decrease how much he is paying. This is a real weird storyline to me because I feel empathetic to her because they have 3 kids. And according to her, he hasn't seen their children in a while. And I remember last week, the daughter said she got used to not seeing him, which is really unfortunate. And another reason why Ashley is trash is she's even assisting this man in any capacity, because if he's not even seeing his kids, whether or not you're cool with him still because your husband and him are cool or whatever, girl, once you know that he's not trash and not even seeing his kids, why are you helping this man? You're not cool to me if you're not a good dad. So I don't even sense how that situation get down. But anyway, so Morgan is explaining that, she had to move again for the child support thing. But again, I'm very confused. And this is one of the reasons why I like full circle moments, because something about this feels really fishy. Why are you dodging whole places to live because you're dodging him filing the child support subpoena? Like, that to me speaks to like a very disconnected space that you have mentally as a parent when you're like you're literally moving a safe space for your kids consistently because you don't want to lose some of the money that he's currently paying. I don't know what he's paying. I'm assuming it's paying for her lifestyle and not just those children, because of the fact that she's trying to move from place to place to like avoid getting seen by him. Something is off about their divorce that we're not getting a full picture about. And the only reason I would think you would ever physically move from a situation is if you are in a domestic situation where you're afraid for your life. If it's not that, this is one of the reasons why, for me personally, I could never just not do anything with my life past being somebody's wife, because it just is not set up for me to just not be able to take care of myself and my kids. I can't even imagine not being able to take care of myself or my children on my own. Like, relying on a man's income as your only source is just uncomfortable to me. And I remember Judge Judy said this a long time ago about women who are financially dependent on someone else. And I know how glamorized the soft life seems to people, but the reality is, like Judge Judy said, because she's been in courtrooms, in family courtrooms, and been around divorces enough to know, like, it just puts you in a dark space when you do not have your own. You're relying on that person for everything. And it is a really dark situation when that person either decides to fight back and you don't have the money, or they can adjust how you've lived. And if you've been with that person for a very long time and they are the person that you rely on your income for, it can be a really dark space when you don't have your own, when they can afford the lawyers and you can't, when they can afford to fight back, when they can afford to investigate, all that kind of stuff, and you don't have any of that in your corner. And that has happened in a lot of celebrity divorces where the ex-wives have kind of gotten screwed, or they feel like they've gotten screwed because the ex-husband was not the person that they married. He was the person they divorced, and they didn't take that into consideration the whole time that they were sitting there, and they ended up just being a trophy wife, making kid after kid after kid, and not thinking like one day this could end, especially because they started off rocky. Because Morgan's mama mentions last week that Morgan and him always had a toxic relationship, and she kind of surprised that they lasted as long as they did. So it definitely tells me that there were points where she kind of knew it was rocky, and I'm not understanding why in that time frame, not going back to school. I don't know if she went back to school or just found another career, honey. Like, you gonna have to chef me. I'm gonna have to be a personal chef. I'm gonna have to come in and have some type of job, some type of money coming in, that if you decide that you want to drop the ball tomorrow, my whole lifestyle is not upended, honey. I couldn't play those games. I couldn't play about the idea of relying solely on you to do what you're supposed to do. But the back end, if everything that Morgan is saying about this man not seeing his kids is the case, you're a trash dad for that, and ain't no coming back from you being ain't shit to your kids. And ultimately that's gonna pop back up later on for them. And I feel bad for his soul. Now we know is one thing Miss Ashley gonna do. She's gonna focus on the brand, honey. She's letting y'all know I am not here for all of these fights all the time. We're gonna refocus on the brand every single time. And she is focused on the foundational part of what she is doing in relationship to autism. Let me tell you something. You don't have to like Ashley. I know she's already on shaky waters with me after kind of finding out that she did help out Morgan's ex, because I already think that's trash to begin with. But what I will say about Miss Morgan is about Miss Ashley, she stays on code, honey. She knew she was coming on the show as basketball wife. Not only have we seen the house in this authentic, honey, that's their real home. She out here making sure that their foundational efforts get put forth in this. You're going to find out what they're dealing with. You're going to find out where her store is located. You're going to find out what she's selling. This is what we call branding. Like, we can do all the other stuff that we want to do, but you're going to also get these businesses. You're going to also get these philanthropic efforts. You're going to also get information about my husband, honey. This is what you're supposed to do on Basketball Wives. It's giving Candy Burris energy a little bit, not in the likable sense of the word, but just in terms of staying on code. Use these shows for what they're using you for, and not just being in fights every other week, and that be your only personality. So she is meeting up. They're at their gym, and they have like a NBA trainer that comes, and they have some other staff there. And she's basically trying to throw like a basketball event for kids on the spectrum. She's talking about, them having, individual coaches there that can help the kids out, and then some people from the staffs that work with children with special needs that could go ahead and be on the sidelines in case any of the kids get overwhelmed or anything can sort of happen when you're there. As a parent can have an assistant, or even the kids can have an assist if something goes on with the sporting event. So Tony wants to do it as a way to always just bring awareness to autism, as he's also autistic. And then Ashley is focused on incorporating some of the girls. She's incorporated Milan. And later on, we find out that she wants to incorporate somebody else. But when I tell you Ashley stay on code and stay focused on what she got to do, I can't hate on her for that. So as we leave Lyndzie and the girls over at the Sugar Factory, we head over to Danielle and Ashley. So Ashley has then invited Danielle to have a sit down because, of course, she's throwing the charity event for basketball for the kids with autism, and she wants Danielle to be another coach. And Danielle's kind of iffy because her and Ashley don't actually have a problem, but because she's very close with Morgan, and her and Morgan have had beef, and there's some things that Ashley has done that she's not feeling. She's not really sure why Ashley wants to meet up. Once Ashley explains the project, because like I told you, Ashley stay on code and focus on what she got to do, honey. She's like, look, these squamishes at the end of the day, they're killing my vibe to what I got to get doing with my program. So if it has something to do with my business or my man or my charity, I'm focused on that. So she basically says that, she wants her to, she doesn't mind like being one of the coaches there. And Danielle says that despite their situation, she does respect the fact that Ashley does have children that are artistic. And she also had a child that had developed mental delays when they were very, very young. And I feel like that's something that happens quite frequently to kids, as far as like speech delays and things like that. But then sometimes they're able to work things out with like resource help and stuff like that. So Danielle feels the impact of that and what, she had to go through. So she empathizes with Ashley, and she says she has no problem doing it. When it comes to basketball, especially when it comes to kids, she's just focused on the positivity of the event, and she would have no problem volunteering. So we move along, and we see Morgan and her sister Lisa are about to part ways. Before they do, Morgan wants her sister to be down with the promise they made to each other. And she wants to get it tatted. And so they visit Black Ink. And I'm not surprised to see this because for a while on Black Ink, Caesar had said that they had opened up a lot of shops across the country. I know they had that infamous episode where they opened up in Chicago. He was fighting with Ryan, but either way, I think this is another hit off of that because they're using the same sign and signage and stuff. So I think this is a Black Ink Orlando that was opened by possibly Caesar or somebody else. I don't know. If y'all know, let me know that in the comments. So she said that her and Lisa committed to making promises to be there for one another, to be consistent and keep showing up for themselves and for their families, and to make sure that they don't lose touch. And the way that they want to signify that is with a matching tattoo, or at least Morgan does, because she has quite a few. I'm not sure if Lisa had any, but she's getting one today, honey. So they're getting matching sister tattoos. And Morgan says that they're using the Om sign that we normally see in Buddhist practice and around meditation because it's about recentering yourself and bringing yourself back. And that's normally how morning chants start. And so she gets it in red, and then her sister also gets it in red. It was actually pretty cute. I was worried about what the tattoo would be, but it's a pretty decent size. Lisa gets it on her leg or lower half of her leg, and Morgan gets it on her arm. And she already has several other ones. They match. They look cute. Let's move on. So we back with Latavia, honey. And again, I know her name is Lyndzie, but she gives me Latavia from Destiny's Child vibes. Anyway, we back with Latavia. And besides this baby storyline, we just kind of bored, honey. I mean, she shows up. We know it's present. It's a beautiful thing that you're going through childbirth. And this is absolutely something that can happen to a woman that is married to a professional athlete who's gone a lot. So I appreciate her storyline. But when I say she's boring, she's boring. I don't see it for Lyndzie next season, but by all means, if they have another season, she might show back up. I'm not seeing it. Anyway, Lyndzie is at the sugar, I think not the sugar factory, but I think she might be the sugar factory. I don't know. But she's at Sugar. And she's basically there because she's trying to pick up some stuff for her baby shower. And well, she's having a gender reveal party, rather. Girl, these gender. Let me know how y'all feel in the comments about gender reveal parties. I feel like they're wasteful, but this started a couple of years ago. I kind of feel like just reveal the gender at the damn baby shower, honey. Going to these two separate events, I'm done. And I did that last time somebody do something. I was like, look, I'm going to the gender reveal. I'm going to the baby shower. Make up their mind which one is going to be. But I'm not going to both. Like, it's literally you just telling everybody that you're having a boy or a girl. You could really just tell people that over the phone or through a Zoom call or whatever. Or you could just reveal it at the baby shower. These two separate events are wild to me. It feels wasteful. And it also just feels like a way to be greedy about gift giving. But that's just me. So, maybe I'm old school in that way, but either way, Lyndzie is at the factory and she's talking to the woman about her gender reveal and she wants to find some treats and stuff that she can get that theme around the party. While she's doing that, Meghan walks up and she's connected with Meghan. So this seems like everybody's getting their little timing with Meghan because they're nearing the end of the season and maybe they're just trying to make sure their contract is secured. I'm assuming maybe Meghan will give some recommendations to Shawnee. They just want to make sure they still got a spot because when did y'all become really tight friends? You don't want to put Meghan in that situation to make them let them know she was sleeping with Morgan's husband. Anyway, she meets up with her and then she meets up with Nikki and says that she's trying to become cool with Nikki as well. And she's happy that they resolved their issue. Meghan says that she really likes Nikki and she wants to build a friendship with her. And so she's happy that they have resolved their issue as well. So they sit down and have a conversation about Lyndzie, but somehow, Meghan makes it about herself and essentially says seeing Lyndzie in this situation where she's with her partner, they're having a baby, is making her get her baby vibes and want to do this thing as soon as possible. She's had an issue with the boyfriend being more accepting of her having a kid because she has family issues and he wanted her to resolve a lot of that stuff before they have a child together. And she says she don't want no baby after 35, honey, because that's when you consider to be high risk and she wants the baby now. So she understands his issue, but her family issues are more complicated than his. And she honestly doesn't feel like she wants to sit around waiting when, she could be a mama today. So they talk more about Lyndzie and her being ready to know what the birth of the child is. It's a very boring conversation. So, let's move on. So it's finally the big day, and Latavia and Brandon from Jagged Edge are finally having their baby shower. I'm kidding, y'all. So Lyndzie and Devin are finally having their baby shower over there. I'm sorry, their gender reveal party. Again, it feels like the same thing. It just feels whatever. I have to say, I absolutely love the theme of her gender reveal. It was really beautiful. It really could be used for a baby shower. It was a carnival, like theme park theme, and it was really, really cute. Very whimsical, very childlike in terms of like the decorations. It was actually top tier in terms of the concept of it. I feel like more people should do that when they think about it. A lot of times you just see people that go around the theme and the colors. I love how she did the theme being like on a carnival theme. So that was pretty cool. And of course they have, blue and pink balloons because we don't know what the child's gender is. They give people little tickets. It's very, very, very cute. A lot of the girls show up. Nikki's there. Mackenzie is there. Neek shows up. Morgan is there. And Meghan is there. I do not see Ashley. I don't know if she mentioned that why Ashley, Danny, and Mulan are not there. Although I'm assuming Mulan is just trying to be away from the girls right now because of all of the drama. So Lindsay's very happy. She's super excited to find out what the gender of her child will be. The girls are there in a very positive way. And of course, Meghan again is starting to feel baby fever because she's saying that being around Devin and just seeing the whole baby thing, this is what she's ready for at the next step of her life. You know, the thing I think that that Meghan is not getting about this moment is that when she has a child, it's going to become about the kid. And maybe that's something that she's not thinking. She's like, I want a baby, I wanted this, but that is going to quickly turn from the baby need to the baby needs, and it's going to quickly turn to it being about that kid. And so maybe she does need that to center herself more and bring her ego down a bit, because it's going to change her life and it's going to make her not the most important thing to her sometimes. So I don't know, it could be helpful for her. She then talks about, just like it's beautiful to see them together. And Morgan is also happy to see Devin because she's kind of been playing surrogate dad, going with Lyndzie to appointments and things like that because he hasn't been able to be in town. And so she's like, look, I'm happy for you to come take over today because I've really been there for that moment. And these are the moments I love to see Morgan in because I do think she has a very warm spirit, but just the trauma and drama of her situation is really bringing her spirit down and making it such a dark moment most times that she's on screen. So I really love that she was able to express more and get more out here. I just hate that we're getting it towards the end of the season. So everybody's super excited. We're going with the carnival theme. Everybody's having a good time. And they finally decided to do the gender reveal. And it was done in such a dope way. They actually used the Ferris wheel to keep lighting up. Everybody heads over to that part of the park to see the Ferris wheel go up. And then the Ferris wheel is going to end up revealing the colors. And it, goes around. It has the different colors going around and eventually lands on pink. And so Lyndzie realized she's having a girl and she's super excited. It was a very beautiful moment. I'm happy for her and Devin and wish her the happiest and safest birth possible. I'm sure they have the baby by now, but it's just a cute theme and very nice to see. Okay, so we head over to Tony and Ashley's event and it turned out to be really, really cute, very good. Everybody seemed to be focused. It was a very good time. Milan showed up, Mackenzie showed up, and Danielle showed up. So I guess that is why we know that the gender reveal party, why they weren't at the gender reveal party, because they were at Ashley's event. So it was like a split thing. So Milan's doing their thing. Danielle walks in. And I actually love how Ashley approached the dynamic of knowing that there's still trauma in the room. She said to Danielle, like, look, I told the other girls the same thing. Like, focus on the kids today. It's about them. And if there's any issue that goes down specifically, or if you feel at any point that there's drama with you and somebody else going down, like, come to me and let me know and I will handle it for you. Like, instead of you getting into with anybody, I'll be the one to take, like, go and deal with that person so that we can focus on the positivity of the event. I love how she approached that situation because she didn't pretend like they didn't have issues. And again, mostly it's Danielle with the issue. But it might be Mulan and Danielle, really, because I feel like Mackenzie's just chilling. She really don't care. She's tired of arguing about Rashad. She really just wants Danielle to get a man and move on. So the function was really good. Danielle's in her element. Milan's in their element. I love seeing them when they're with, doing the basketball thing because it's very positive. They're vibing off of each of the kids and having a good time. Danielle even joked with Tony because they found out they played for rivals when they were in college. And it was a really positive and good time. The event ends well. Ashley's really happy. She said she don't give a damn about how people feel about Danielle being there because she invited her. She agreed to volunteer, and it's my event. So if you have a problem with it, you have a problem with it. And Danielle says she's trying to focus, when she's there to focus on the kids, she's there to focus on the kids. She's not focused on the drama and the trauma that everybody else has going on with any previous situations that they have. So Meghan meets up with her boyfriend. And of course, she was going through baby fever because she was at Lyndzie's event. And she's saying that she really wants to have this conversation with him about trying to force her to merge this relationship with her mother before they can have a kid. She feels like it's unfair because he doesn't have the same relationship with his mother. So they sit down and have a conversation, and she begins to tell him, I guess, about how everything went. Now, this is the part where I be calling BS on Meghan because unless it's something that we didn't see from when they were filming, I did not get that her mother didn't want to take accountability. And she basically told him that her mother said that she was ashamed to the family and all that. And I don't remember her mama saying that. I remember her mother apologizing again, maybe for the 80th time, that, she could have been a better parent and that she should have had her daughter with her and that it wasn't her it wasn't her responsibility to, be raised by her grandparents, and that she should have been a better mom. What she did also tell Meghan is that Meghan be treating them different. Now that she's gotten some fame and some attention and some money, she treats them like they ain't, nothing. She said she treats them worse than, she wants to be treated. And she said that, she felt like Meghan was getting the hype from the fame and the money, and that it's going to all come crashing down one day when the lights go off. That's what I remember about their conversation. But y'all let me know in the comments if I missed anything. I did not feel like she had told her she wasn't going to be anything. I feel like she was saying Meghan is the one that treat them like they nothing. So she ends up telling him that, and he don't believe her. And that's what made me feel like, she said, how do you know? Because you never met my mother. To us, she's saying, how could he not have her back? But something about him made me feel like he's very aware of the person he's dating, and he know Meghan left out tons of information from that conversation. He said he don't believe her. He don't understand the situation. And he feel like Meghan not working hard enough to the relationship. I honestly agree with this. I just feel like, yes, he can't try to say like his relationship with his mom is going to be the same as somebody else's relationship, but I think he know his woman. And so he know Meghan kind of full of it. I'm not saying Meghan, I don't know what bridge the gap part needs to fully be there, but I also think Meghan's not really working hard at that. And when her mama started to tell her about the fact that she's caught up in the fame, she walked off on her. So, girl, who you lying to? So they kind of end that conversation that way. Meghan not gonna get what she want, even if she's trying to lie to this man to get it. Okay, so it's time for Neek to sit down and have this come to Jesus that her mama told her to have with Milan. And so they're sitting down in the park, because that's their favorite place to hang out, y'all. Every time her and Milan meet up, it's always at a park, honey. So they're sitting down and they're having the conversation that needs to be had. And Milan, is kind of open but completely closed a little bit. When they sit down, it actually goes to dead silence, and then Nika is the first one that has to initiate the conversation. So she basically talks to Milan about the frustration she's having with feeling like people are coming to her, telling her things that Milan has said about her or her situation to them, and telling her business basically. And she also kind of feels like Milan isn't always the most reciprocal in the relationship, and that's exhausting as well. And she says that, she feels like Milan is like the closest one that she is. I'm sorry, Milan is the closest one to her here. And she feel like, how it's not comfortable to find out that you may be betraying me in this process. So Milan basically says that she does not feel like she's been that person to her, but she feels like sometimes she's had to defend her. And so she will bring up a situation to like defend the situation. So let's say they say, well, Nick ain't never here. Then Milan's like, well, no, she's not here because of Dwayne's situation. That's what I think she was trying to say. Like, she'll try to bring up examples of like certain things, or she'll be defensive of her. But in being defensive of her, you're also telling her business. I kind of believe both of them, but I do think that Milan is right that people have a problem with her and Nick being cool because they're trying to ice her out. And I feel like they're saying anything because everybody on this show is messy as hell. Everybody telling everybody business, addresses, body, jobs, who was on OnlyFans. Like all these girls are messy and telling information or secrets that they know about each other or rumors that they know about each other. So I don't feel like Milan is being extra messy, but I do think that when multiple people are saying something, especially depending on the people, though, that's the problem. She don't get along with some of those girls. So they just saying anything, but they also messy. And I do empathize with the fact that Milan is by herself. And because they're on this icing out situation, because I guess, Shawnee's going to knock down the numbers at some point, honey. They can't all be on the next season. They're trying to ice her out. And I'm not feeling that. And I do think they have a problem with her and Nick being cool. Because with Nick being her one friend and they're wanting to be cool with Nick, it bothers them that she's still cool with Milan, or that she would defend Milan in their presence. So, and I actually like Milan. I like Nick too. They're two of my favorites on the show. But even if they weren't, I do think that Milan could and should do exactly what Nick ends up asking her to do, which is basically don't defend me. Like if it comes up and it's a situation, like don't defend me by telling any of my business. Like whatever we talk about should be between me and you regarding things that I talk about with you. I don't want to hear from nobody else. And I absolutely agree with that because that's how me and my friends move. You're not going to be in a room with me and somebody else and you're going to hear something that a friend told me about themselves to you. And I know women that's how they connect with other friends and that's how they connect with other women. They go and tell other women's business. And my friends be total strangers when they meet each other. They be like, they can't even say I heard about you because like you might know somebody's name or something like that, but you don't be knowing their business at all. And that's how I like to keep it. So they said that they want to do that. But Milan also points out that she doesn't really know completely how to be a friend. And this was a vulnerable moment to me for somebody to be honest about the fact that they've been alone for so long in their life and had to do things solo that they don't really know how to necessarily be a friend in that way. and they're sort of learning, but it's hard when everybody's coming at you. So they have an empathetic moment. Nick hugs her. They talk it through a little bit, and I like where this ended. Next, we move on to Danielle. She's in one of the VH1 SUVs, honey, leaving her lawyer's office. And she's saying that she's having issues with the separation agreement that she's trying to get together with Rashad. Now, I'm a little confused about the separation agreement because they weren't married. So I'm trying to figure out how you have a separation agreement, but maybe there's something to that. Either way, it's still a child custody situation because they have kids together. And she's saying that, Rashad is brought up basically when they were filing their paperwork or maybe in court or mediation that, Danielle has a temper and he brought evidence of the text messages and the things that she sends him as proof of that. Now, here's my thing. I realize that sometimes these men, especially when they're very wealthy, they try to manipulate situations to make it look a certain way. But girl, we have also seen you go off the rails for no reason. I don't think he's completely lying in this situation. I'm not pro like men abusing or using moments that they also have engaged in a toxic situation to try to make it seem like they're the injured party. But I'm also not with the idea that some women feel like they're not toxic at all or negative at all. And I feel like the way Danielle has handled conflict on this show feels like that's how she handled it in her relationship with Rashad. So I'm not surprised if some of that stuff is accurate. And so she says that it's causing an issue because ultimately she's, dealing with a child support issue with him, but then like he's trying to possibly take custody of the kids because it can prove that if she's having temper issues and she's constantly flaring out on him on a regular basis and going off and showing up places she shouldn't, it can make her look bad. This is also when you need to be focused on getting your ish together. And this is why I said the same thing with Morgan, because all this can be used against you in court when you are trying to just ride off in the sunset with your kids. You can't do that. And if these men want to hit back, they definitely can be very, 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 very messy. So, she seems to be learning from the situation, but she wants somebody to talk to that empathizes with what she's going through. So she tries to call Morgan and she's getting radio silence. She says she's been trying to contact Morgan the whole week. She's been texting her with no responses back. And this is very weird for her because, at least as we've seen on this show, Danielle seems to always be there for her. As soon as something happens, she called Danielle up and they ride and die. But all of a sudden, Morgan is radio silent. I don't know if Morgan was ghosting her because she was already going through her dark moment and her sister was there and she was just trying to pair off and beat her herself. But Danielle saying she's not even getting a text. And it's like, girl, I've been there for you, but you've not been there for me. This is weird. It's not feeling like friendship. It's not feeling reciprocal. You can't just trauma dump on me and then I can't do the same thing back with you. And she needs her in this moment. So, she ride off and VH1 drop her off her house, I suppose. And, we get knocked down to what the rest of the next episode is going to be. It gets a little interesting. I want to see what's going to happen with her and Morgan. I doubt it's going to be too much. And of course, Meghan is back to going at Ashley now and making it seem like Ashley is the only messy one and, hitting below the belt again. But, it's in the contract, so she got to do it. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the episode. How are y'all feeling about this particular iteration of Basketball Wives? You feel like Orlando should get a second season? How are you feeling about the girls' relationships and the evolution? Talk to me in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.